welcome back to another interview with another inclusion specialist over from the UK. Hello, Jonathan.
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm really good, thank you, Jonathan. And now, Jonathan, I believe you work for TeamTeach over in the UK?
Yep, that's correct. I'm the director of TeamTeach. I've been leading the organisation now for the last 4 years.
Excellent. So tell me, what is TeamTeach? Give me a little bit of a description about what it is and who needs it.
Okay, so TeamTeach has been going now for the last 25 years. Is a training continuum that offers people the ability to start from understanding behaviour as communication, right through to if you need to be keeping a child safe, a young person safe, being able to support them. Sometimes you might have to physically intervene, and we train that continuum right through from, as I said, lowest level interventions right through to higher level interventions when they're needed. We are the largest independent training provider in the UK. And last year, in a COVID year, we trained over 100,000 staff in England, Wales, and Northern Ireland.
Excellent. And I believe you're now going international, or have been for a while?
Yeah, so we have been training out in Australia, New Zealand. We have about 700 trainers out in Australia. We train in some of the states in Australia, New South Wales. We train all their newly qualified teachers when they come out of uni. So they all do one of our level 1 trainings before they go into schools. Okay,
so what is the difference then? You've got level 1, how many levels do you have and what do they all consist of?
So as I was explaining, we try and train a continuum. So we start with all the thinking you need around understanding behaviour as communication. So what's being communicated through behaviour, and not just the child or the young person we're working with, but our own behaviour as well. So we do a lot of work around self-reflection. Then we move into building up a de-escalation toolkit. So we look at understanding triggers, what the different environments can do to affect the behaviour of a young person or a child. And then we look at giving skills to the staff so that they can de-escalate those situations. That really is part of our level 1, and in there we might include very simple prompts and guides to support young people. Then we move into our level 2 training, which is taking that thinking and taking it further by looking at what other supports do we need to put in place for children and young people when they become distressed. So how do we support them? How do we have a knowledge of them as individuals, the things that are going to work best for them, the things that they are going to struggle with, and that might be environments, it might be change of routine, transitions, all those different things. So again, it's creating a toolkit for staff. And we do go within special education sector, we would go through and we do advanced modules as well, which is responding to everyday objects used as weapons and ground holds if needed. But that's very much at the end of the spectrum with the special needs schools.
Yeah, I think we're quite fortunate out here in the Middle East. We don't get a lot of weapons or things like that. But when I worked in a PRU in the UK, a pupil referral unit in the UK, someone did use a dinner knife on me. So they don't have to necessarily come armed with a tool. They can use everyday implements as well. So I highly believe in the that knowledge is power, and that if you know how to de-escalate, often you don't result in needing to hold. We know that there is a place for holding when working with people, not just young people, but all people. And so give me a situation where you might need to get to the point where you might need to hold. I think there's terms around self-harm or there's three terms, I think.
Yeah, so just picking up on the point you made, I ran a Bernardo school for 17 years, and I used to tell people that I use TeamTeach every day. But that didn't mean that we were holding children every day. It meant that we were thinking in a different way. We were puzzle solvers. We were looking at how we could use our knowledge around understanding their behaviour and how we de-escalated. So for me, that's the most essential part of what we do. We call that the 95% of our training. Mm-hmm. So the majority of what we do and what we think about is all those de-escalation pieces. But as you rightly described, sometimes there are moments where a child becomes distressed, and so they may be a danger to themselves. They may be, going to harm themselves, self-harm, or they're going to harm others, or put themselves at risk by, you know, kind of running out of spaces into spaces where they might come to harm. So in those moments, that's when we have to think about physically intervening. And we talk about, we put the child at the center and we say, what does this child need right now as a support? How do we best support them? And it's all about maximum care and minimum force.
Yeah.
So we do something with the most care for the minimum amount of force for the minimum amount of time.
The people that we're working with. And when you obviously have trainers, and so I think that you're coming out to Dubai and that you are looking for people to train. So what does that look like?
Okay, yeah. So we've been out before, and we're coming out again to Dubai, and we're really excited about being able to support over there. We have different models. We can come into schools and deliver the training directly with our team of trainers, but we do have a model which is really effective where we train trainers so that you in a school can have your own trainer and they can cascade the training down to staff teams. The benefit of it is that it gives you someone in the school who's a focal point, someone that you can talk to and ask questions of. And when you're thinking about particular children and how they need to be supported, to have someone there who's had that complete training that you can just bounce ideas off works really, really well. And they're embedded. I think the thing with TeamTeach that we like to do is that we don't come in and do training to you. It's part of a journey together that we, you know, want to support you, continue to work with you. We build up a relationship with you. And so that's really strong when you're a trainer and you're part of the TeamTeach community. That's really a supportive process. So that's what we're hoping to do, is come out to Dubai and put on some trainer sessions so schools can access those, grow their own trainers.
Yeah, so I guess it's more of a whole school ethos change as well. You don't want to just have 1 or 2 staff that are trained in this. I guess it impacts on policy and procedure and a bit deeper than just training a member of staff in support.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a holistic approach. So if, you know, we always encourage all staff to be trained, because then you get a consistency in, and children, young people thrive in consistent models when they really understand that everybody else understands what's going on. You know, adults around them, they find a safety and security in that. So it's really important that everybody embraces that training and takes it on board, so that you've got consistency of approach, but you've got consistency of language. And that really helps you, because then when you're trying to build up solutions, and as I said earlier, get this idea of puzzle solving, when you're doing all those things, you're all talking the same way. And ultimately that means it transforms the experience for the child and young person. So that's why, you know, we're really fortunate that, you know, feedback on all our training sessions is, this is the best training we've ever had. It makes such a difference. And continuing the relationship with the hundreds and thousands of schools that we work with, the constant feedback is this continues to get to the heart of what we need to, which is putting the child at the center and creating solutions for them.
Yeah, and I guess that by training staff and having that, you know, similar conversation across the campus, you're actually empowering your teachers. And so if we empower our staff, actually there's automatically a calmness when they're dealing with the behaviors, because they know what they're looking at and they know what their next steps are. Very
much so, because if you're, you know, we've all been there. We've all been in the classroom where you've got a particular young person and, you know, you're thrown by them. They can make you anxious. When we're anxious, we don't necessarily think in the best ways because our anxiety takes over. So the fact that you have a toolkit that you can call upon that gives you that confidence reduces that level of anxiety, which means you respond much better to the situation you find yourself in.
Right. Fabulous. So I've run out of questions for this short interview. Is there anything else that you feel that you need to add to us?
No, I don't think so. We're just really excited at the opportunity to come out and work out in Dubai. You know, we've supported, as I said, hundreds of thousands of staff, and it makes a real difference, and ultimately makes a difference to those children and young people they're working with, and that's what it's all about at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
So yeah, really looking forward to coming out.
I think the key phrase is keeping everybody safe. Safe for the children, safe for the teachers, safe from harm, safe from being held in inappropriate situations, safe from you know, the whole environment, and making sure that everyone's okay. And that's vital, I think. Okay, so thank you very much for listening, everybody. If you are interested in having training delivered into your school and into your teams, then do let us know. You can either come directly to me, Louise Dawson, or you can go and find TeamTeach on the website. What's your website address, Jonathan?
It's teamteach.co.uk.
Awesome. So you can go directly to TeamTeach, you can come directly to me. But if you are a school leader who would like this change of ethos and you would like your teachers to be trained, alternatively, if anybody is out there that would like to be a trainer and would like to be able to deliver this training across the Middle East, then obviously do get in contact. We're doing a multi-pronged attack with support across the Middle East. Thank you very much for your time, Jonathan.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you for your time.
You're very welcome.